We're sitting there at 28, and we knew that it was going to be a good draft with offensive linemen and defensive linemen. We did want to add a little bit more youth in our offensive line, a little bit more depth on our defensive line, but it just happened to be some really good players that we liked on both sides of the ball in the trenches.
What's the positive?
He gets picked.
So, but that's the one you...
Yeah, this is the test.
He's very Lynn McNeil-like.
Okay.
It's very similar type players. Yes.
So when we said Tyreek, everybody is perked up a little bit, so that means I knew it was a good chance that we would take him. I honestly woke up Thursday morning, and it was really all I could think about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Plays backfield. No, he's this one. Yeah.
You know it's a chance that this guy's worthy of that 28th pick. So you see a couple guys fall off the board, and you're like, oh, this could happen.
Once we got close to our picks and we started seeing the teams in front of us and behind us that had some interior defensive line interest, it just seemed like there were some sharks circling the water.
James Pierce.
Perfect.
You start looking at is deep on offensive line and defensive line, but when you really look at true starting level interior defensive linemen, it actually shrinks a little bit more than what we thought. You start getting some calls of possible trade backs. You know, it's tempting because it's like, well, you can get a little bit more capital, but we just don't want to risk missing out on the player. We felt pretty good. You never know fully if the player's going to be there, but we felt pretty good. You be making a position. I'm still talking.
Yeah. Trust your gut.
It's too much IDL heat.
Oh, I get it.
You do so much research and you get so much data and intel going into it, and you go through all these scenarios, and we did feel good that it was best for us to stay pat when we felt like Tyreek was in striking range.
I'm just like, how is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? I'm looking at his phone number, I'm looking at his agent number, I'm just like, I was anxious.
Picks in Malachi Starks.
Okay.
We're on the clock.
Good stuff.
So I was in the Airbnb in Virginia with a couple of friends and family. I was definitely nervous. I wanted to go in the first round.
Tyreek, Brad Holmes, GM of Detroit Lions.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Doing
Where
good.
you at, man? You ready to get lined?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. All right, man. You're gonna help us out in the middle of our defense, all right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Tyreek,
What's going on, Coach?
listen, from this point on, you make up your mind what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
We're drafting you for a reason, so come in here and compete, man, and help us. You know what I mean?
I was just excited, just knowing I came to a great team. You know, I really like the coaching staff here, so I was just happy I got such a great fit, and it was just great emotions.
With the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Tyreek Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State.
As a football player, they're getting a great teammate, gritty, a disruptor, a guy who wants to win. I'm gonna do the dirty work and make a lot of tackles.
What we getting is big-time run stopper. This is a kid who, you watch him and he's lighter on his feet than what you think a kid 330 pounds should be able to play.
He's a lot like Aleem in terms of being able to catch an edge, rush with power, have instinct. He's got quickness. He can counter. When you watch the tape, you see that he's a 3-down player.
What I love about Tyreek is this guy plays with really good technique. He can play with finesse, and he can also play with power.
A hellacious hit and driven backwards. Tyreek Williams announcing his presence with authority.
I saw him live versus Indiana. You see his ability to read, react, find the football very quickly and anticipate things. He is very nimble. He has very good bend and agility. He's got dancing bear in him. All those things made him extremely attractive to us.
You know, this was a guy that just continued to grow on me throughout the season. If you watch just the college playoffs alone, you would know why we were so excited to get this guy. You got a chance to see an extra 3 or 4 games of some real high-level football against some really high-level competition, and that was the best I had ever seen him play. I mean, he was a big part of the reason they were able to hold that banner up and that trophy up at the end of the year.
Stepping up in pressure, and he's dumped. Tyreek Williams, the incredible athleticism on full display.
He was always a favorite of ours. What jumped off was his intelligence.
Good linebacker, right?
I remember his interview at the Combine. He really knocked it out the park with his intelligence and how much he knew about the game.
He's in this gap. He's in that gap. He's in there and he's in there.
Okay.
Like he has that big gap. I'm playing these 2 gaps.
You got them both. Was that a problem?
Nah, I like that. I'm good at that. I try to be like a smart player. I kind of pride myself on that. So they were just asking me questions. You know, I was just firing back answers. And I think they liked how, you know, fluid I was with my answers.
Based on what we talked about, what probably should happen here then?
The nose should wrap.
The nose should wrap to make us right. The nose should wrap to make us right.
You go into the building, man, and you won't hear one bad thing about this guy. You know, you hear things like smartest guy in the room, able to absorb a lot of information, able to apply what he's learned to the field. So when you hear that type of stuff, you know that a kid could be scheme versatile.
And what would you say the best thing you do?
Definitely stopping the run. I think that's my strong suit, but I also have the, you know, ability to rush the passer.
We've created a culture to where we only can take certain type of kids here. And it's gonna always start with, do they love football? This kid loves football.
I like to work off power. Just want to get him off his spot. Really explosive, and when I'm moving, it's like, it's a lot to deal with, so I kind of want to shock him, and basically whatever he gives me, come off of that.
Okay.
How do you feel about playing the nose?
I feel good. I can play anywhere inside. I think I'm
0 shade, 3.
Everything was just like this with Tyreek, you know, as I was watching him, and this is my 10th year, yet this is the first time I've had a first-round pick from my area. And also, when you get a guy in your area, man, that you really feel good about, it's even better. Man, it was like a match made in heaven.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. These guys are fired up down there. Casey's got a big smile on his face. Tomorrow the real work starts. We're halfway there.
Yeah. First part of the mission.
Oh my God. That itself is huge.
Plus our ass to get the second one.
Good. Good. All in draft.
Welcome to Detroit, man. You just here, that's crazy, like not even too long ago. I feel good. Like, I can't put it into words yet, but it's definitely like a great feeling for sure. We got on a private jet and came out here, and that was pretty cool. I've never been on a private jet, so that was a first. And then getting here, it was just like, I was just excited the whole time. I didn't really have no real feelings. Like, I was just like, wow.
Corey, what about for you? What was last night like?
He said I was punching him, so I was so happy, but I don't remember that, but I know it's a real moment, that's for sure.
I had to put my phone on D&D. It was like call after call, message after message. Glad everybody reached out though. I'm gonna eventually get back to them, but it might take a little while. On the field, you're gonna get a great player, a disruptor, very versatile. Off the field, you're gonna get a funny guy, easy to talk to, don't cause no problems, and you just want to win.
He gives his all. Level-headed, coachable. He know what it is. It's a business now. You at work. You gonna get to work.
Just happy, I'm blessed. Just ready to start, for real.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you were just here, but now you get the official tour.
Yeah. It's nice. What's up, Coach?
How are you?
Doing good.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
How you
Gloria,
doing? How you
very
doing?
nice to meet you.
Man, the fired up man on the side.
Hey, well, I was at Texas last year. Y'all hurt my feelings.
What's good, bro? Nice to meet you. Tyreek.
I told you, didn't I?
You did. You did.
I told you.
All right, we're back.
Congrats, homie.
Appreciate it.
It rocked then, you know what I'm saying?
Do it. Just meeting everybody, it kind of settled in a little bit. Like I'm really got drafted. I'm here. Like this is the next step. Like it's not college anymore. But it was just a lot of emotions. I couldn't even tell you like exactly how I was feeling. I was all over the place. For me, it's just been a mix of emotions, from crying to, being happy and, just spending the time with my family for real. It's just been a great feeling.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Nice to have you. He says we drafted you. I was like, oh, you got a monster.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Happy to have you.
Appreciate it. Getting drafted here, I'm just happy. And just helping the team out in any way I can is really my
We'll let
biggest
Tyleek
thing I
finish
want to
real quick,
achieve,
and then
for real.
we'll jump in.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Congratulations, buddy.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
What's going on?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congrats, bro.
Appreciate it. What's going on?
Congrats, bro.
Appreciate
Congrats,
it.
man.
Appreciate it.
Happy to
Appreciate
have
it.
you, man.
Yes, sir.
Happy
Yes,
to
sir.
have you. How you
Yes,
feeling?
sir. Feel good.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah. Man,
Excited.
we're fired up, man. We're fired up. We're a little nervous. We're a little nervous, but it was like but man, when you were there, man, we were ecstatic, man. As you know, we've had our eyes moved for a long time, man. So expected big things, man.
I definitely knew it was a possibility of me landing at 28 because I had great conversations, at the combine, the 30 visit. And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it. The feeling you get, like that rush you get of like answering that call, like I don't think nothing compares to it, if I'm being honest. I think I've been, dreaming this my whole life, and I'm finally here. I just got to show up and do it.
Shep, we're here.
Coach Shep, he's just met him and I already love him. He's a high energy guy. He sells to me how much he loves my game and how I play and how I can help the team. And you need a guy like that in your corner.
And I told them, and Dan and all that knew that they made jokes with me because this is my favorite player defensively in this draft. I didn't think we was gonna have the opportunity. And then just God willing, I told you this ain't recruiting. I could love you all I want, but everything gotta map out the right way.
60 seconds.
Believe, this is where you're supposed to be.
Sir.
How are you?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Congrats. National champion.
Thank you so much.
Where'd you think you were gonna go?
Here. Yeah.
What's going on, big man?
What's going on, Coach? Good yes, sir. Hey, hello. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm just happy I'm here. Great opportunity to, go help a team. And as soon as you get here, I think you got to hit the ground running. Having that mindset will, put me in the right place. I want to provide, my skill set that I know I have. Like I said, it's already great players here, and playing alongside them, I think I can add a lot and boost the defense. So
can't wait.
Just ready for that. I'm ready to get playing and, keep learning from the vets and, start my career the right way.
All right. Listen, I had a couple of things to do this morning, so I apologize, but I'm glad we got to listen to a little bit of Tyreek Williams as I was rolling down the road and then coming back to the old studio. It was perfect, man. I think it was kind of a perfect timing segment for Inside the Den to highlight our first-round pick, Tyreek Williams. There's so much inside there that we could talk about, but I'm not going to today. We could save that for another day. We'll do an Inside the Den breakdown. There should be another one popping out, I think, pretty soon. But there's so much in there with Tyreek and just how cool, calm, collected, intelligent, I mean, the guy is like he says, he's not too high, he's not too low. He's just even keel. Now on the field, he's an absolute monster, and hoping to get an opportunity to see him tonight. I know that there's been mixed information on whether Tate and Tyreek are actually going to play tonight. I'm still hopeful that they will. But again, there's mixed information on whether they're going to. I don't have a direct response from anybody. Honestly, I haven't asked anybody if these guys are going to get their shot tonight. But we'll see. We'll see if it happens. It would be good if it does. I think it's more important for the rookies to at least get some full speed game action than the vets. So first question for you guys, I would like to know in the comments, obviously in the chat right now, who are the players that you are going to be most keyed in on tonight? Now, I'll be live tonight for the game, so I would love to get some reactions post-game. The post-game thumb is already up. Not sure what time the game will be done. I'm expecting around 10:30. We will have phone lines open for the post-game, so you guys can all pour in. I really like the post-game to be about y'all, and you guys call in and do the thing. We'll break down the stats and some of the things that happened throughout the game, but really I would love the post game to shift to fans just calling in, the Lions fans calling in to talk about what they saw, and then let's break it down together. That's where I really would love to see that migrate to. But I'm gonna give you a quick glimpse right now. Today is the preseason game breakdown. Now, I spent way too much time and energy on a preseason game. I've got so much information here. I doubt I'm going to be able to get to it all. But let's just start with the importance of tonight and what it is, for these guys. The Hall of Fame game was a giant practice, right? There was nothing there that these teams are really going to take away other than some film work. What did they do wrong? A lot. How can we fix it? And how can we get ready for the real preseason game, the first one, which is tonight? Which, if the starters were ever going to play in a game, this would be the game. The first 2 weeks is when the starters would get the most reps. And then that third preseason game is all the guys that are on the bubble, typically. You have to field the team, right? You have to field the team no matter what. But your starters, if they're going to play, it's going to be tonight. And from what we've heard, doubtful. Doubtful that, a lot of these guys are going to play. Rookies, different story. Might get a few rookies in there. So for me, and some fans, you downplay the significance of preseason games. I don't. I think that they're important. I think that, there's a lot of opportunity here that is critical for evaluating the talent that you have, that you picked up in the later rounds, or guys that you've picked up off the street, or, in free agency, guys that you're pulling in, this week and last week just to help fill some roles. And it also helps to build team chemistry. And I think that that's huge for the team. Obviously, it is so deep right now and ingrained in the chemistry and the process of culture and the identity of culture, for this team. These guys have to be able to gel with that. And I'm sure they already are throughout the process of training camp. But the Lions are really focused right now on assessing the young players, especially after a very, very disappointing Hall of Fame game by a fan's perspective. But by a coach's perspective, it's like they probably got what they needed to get out of it. Outside of the offense, like Dan Campbell said, he wanted, to see some more offense, especially down in the red zone, working some of those down and distance, short down and distance areas. The biggest player I think to watch tonight is Hendon Hooker. Now, I watched some of the games last night, and hold on a sec. Let me pull something up. I want to see how he did. Tanner McKee for the Eagles last night. My goodness, did he have a good game? If the Eagles let that dude go, how many of you would like to see somebody like Tanner McKee on this field, on this squad? I think he commanded that team last night and that offense, put him in great situations, made some really good throws. That's what you're expecting out of your backup. Exactly what Tanner did. Exactly what Trey Lance did. Who was the other guy that played in the earlier game? Oh, Let's see. Why is my brain farting this morning? Who was the other QB in the Colts game? Anthony Richardson goes down, early. Oh, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. He looked fairly decent last night. He was, 48% or whatever completion rate. He looked decent. And I think that the Colts obviously have a really good situation here by having a good backup like that. Somebody that has, good starting playing experience. But is it enough? So no, I wouldn't want a guy like Daniel Jones. I don't expect him to go anywhere. But the point that I'm trying to make is their backups last night were playing pretty good football. Better than what you would really expect this early in the season. But Tanner McKee has really, really shown up big. And I would love to see an opportunity for him to end up on this squad. I doubt it's going to happen. I doubt that the Eagles are going to let him go. But anyway, moving forward, I'm saying all that to say Hendon Hooker, man, he is the player to watch tonight. He is one of the most talked about players heading into this game. And Hendon Hooker has a lot to prove. There's a lot of writers that are not happy with Hendon Hooker. They've kind of thrown him into the trash heap, if you will, and saying that he's just not a good football player. Dan Campbell wants cleaner execution. He wants better ball movement, especially after the shaky opener, with the Hall of Fame game. But as he prepares to start in tonight's game, obviously I think all of us are a little bit eager to see if he can improve, to see if what the Hall of Fame game was just an anomaly. It was, wasn't what, Hendon is going to be for this team. All of the other games that Hendon has been in, I would say that they weren't extremely disappointing, but I think that John Morton has to play to his strengths, and I think that John Morton has to put him in a position to win early and develop that confidence. Not just run the ball, time and time again. No, you've got to put him in some short passing situations to get some completions early in tonight's game and then start looking at targeting downfield. I feel like tonight's game is going to be a lot of BS. Like, I don't think we're going to see a lot of downfield stuff. I think we're going to see short pass plays all game long. It's kind of what they've been doing throughout training camp, is a lot of short work, a lot of short field work, whether it's in the red zone or getting out of their own end zone, dinking it and dunking it down the field. And if that's Morton's plan for the season, I won't be happy. I think it's just that's where we are in training camp. And I think that's what we're going to see tonight, because that's what their focus has been, is keying in on what really is probably the most important part of the game, is being able to complete those short downs or those short plays to get you some first downs. So will he improve tonight? I hope so. I hope he has a really good outing. I think the consensus, is that who cares about the score? I don't really care about the score, but I would like to see at least, 17 to 21, 28 points or something put on the board tonight. They need to do something. Their emphasis needs to be on scoring, which is, putting that ball downfield, or getting that ball downfield. Higher level of competition tonight, right? I think that you're going to see some guys early in the game on both sides of the football so that both teams can kind of evaluate where they are, where they stand. So higher level of competition, it's essential. Obviously, Hooker's going to see some better players than he did last week, which means he's going to have to elevate his game, and his performance will be closely monitored. Absolutely, it will be. I'm not saying if he has a bad game tonight that he's going to be out. I doubt that. Hooker's going to make it probably through the entire preseason, no matter what he does. And at that point, it's whether or not he's the number 2. I think that Kyle Allen still has a little bit of an edge simply because of his experience. And he's got a rifle for an arm. Hendon has the potential to solidify his role with the team. He just has to play well. It's that simple. Offensive line tonight. I think the offensive line is at a critical stage in the development of this team. I think there's a higher focus from Dan Campbell and Hank Fraley and John Morton and others to make sure that they're putting guys in the right position to win. And what I'm going to say here in just a few moments may be shocking. I don't know if you guys have heard the news. or at least a rumor about Tate Rattlage, but we'll get into that in just a second. So a lot of younger players, now on this team, and younger players are going to be starting this year. We brought in Tate Rattlage in the second round this season. You also have Christian Mahogany stepping into a more prominent role, if you will, starting role as expected. There's also a desire to see them gain experience and build chemistry together, right? So you might see, the starters on the field at some point this year, and it's probably joint practices, right? It probably won't be in a game before week 1 kicks off. A lot of fans are kind of arguing how important that is, right? How important is it to see your starters in the preseason? I'm kind of on both sides of the fence. Like, I want to see them because I want them to get some game action, knock the rust off, and let's not start week 1 through 4 rusty like we always do. It seems like the first 4 games, we're still climbing, we're still building, but man, are we rusty. We can score some points, but we sputter out quite a bit too. That's at least been the MO the last few seasons. I don't want to see it this year. This year we have such a tough schedule, and I would say, Dan, like if there's a season that is more important than any other, it's this one. Like this is where you're at. You don't have time to go back and reassess anymore. It's time to go. You are in your 5th year. The build is over, right? You have your players. You are in the prime now of some of these players' careers that you drafted in 2021. It's go time. We have the Ravens in week 3. We have the Packers and the Bears in the first 2 weeks. All 3 of those games must be wins if the Lions are going to have a shot this year. If we start 2-2, I won't be mad. But 3-1, I think, is like, that's the bar for me. That's where we need to be. And starting slow against a team like the Ravens, and how good they looked last night, not good. Like, they're going to do some damage. So offensive line considerations, I think it's important to get your guys some reps from an overall perspective of getting the starters in the game early. Like I said, I think it's important, especially now where we are with this team. It's also risky, right? You're exposing them to more injury opportunity. But then again, I'm going to use Dan's words against him. He says if you focus on worrying about injury, it's going to happen. Okay, so let's not focus on injury. Let's focus on getting these guys some reps so that they can knock the rust off. How about Giovanni Manu? How many of you are going to be watching him tonight? I know I am. I'm going to be watching this offensive line probably early, especially I'm going to move around to each position, but I'm going to be watching Hendon Hooker in the offensive line early. Obviously, when the defense, comes in, it's focused on Ahmed Hassanin to start, Keith Cooper, those guys. But Giovanni Manu, man, he's a developing tackle. He's been developing on the left side with Taylor Decker, and he needs to really rebound. He's had a tough camp. I would say it's a good camp so far, but it's a tough camp. And depth chart implications are really on the rise for him too, or I guess you would say on the line. He has an opportunity to lay that first brick, this year of I'm the number 2 behind Decker. And I'm going to continue to climb that depth chart so that when Decker hangs it up, I'm good to go. Again, it's time to shine for Gio. I know it's only year 2, and he's probably a 3-year project. And Decker's in place right now, so we really don't need Giovanni Manu at the moment. But injuries happen. And if Gio's not ready, then he's not ready. It's going to be Skip. So is he going to move up the depth chart and be number 2, or is he going to fall back behind Skipper at number 3? Manu will need to string together a couple of good games in the preseason for the coaching staff to really feel good about his development so far. The fact that he's getting an opportunity to start tonight, which makes sense because Skipper's battling the ankle, and there's no plan for Decker to be in the game tonight. So Manu's going to get a lot of snaps tonight. He's going to get a ton of snaps. And then there's Tate Rattlage. By the way, the new hats, I don't know if I'm sold, man. Giant crown. Holy cow. Huge crown. I don't know if I like them. I like the look. It looks a little washed out on camera, but I think the crown's a bit too tall. So Tate Rattlage, I'm hearing he's lost the center job. Has anybody else heard this? I heard it was a good effort, but Graham Glasgow is going to be our starter this year at the center position, from what I'm understanding. So let me dive into it. Tate, obviously, he's been creating some energy for this team this season. Coaches, fans, teammates, Motor City Mullet, all excited. All excited about what this guy's bringing. Matter of fact, I think he's got Jared Goff growing a mullet right now. That's how exciting he's been. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to have as good a hair as Tesla, right? But he's going to try. A ton is expected from our second round pick. It's his first season. He has the weight of the world on his shoulders right now. The coaching staff has hinted at the possibility that Tate makes his debut tonight and gets some extended time. But then again, Dan Campbell may elect to hold him out. Now, I haven't heard that. All things are pointing to Tate getting his opportunity tonight. Despite Rattlage playing right guard at Georgia during his career in college, the Lions plugged him in at center to start training camp, to start really in rookie OTAs. And it was mentioned during Rattlage's time in Athens, Georgia, that he took reps at center, so the Lions obviously felt comfortable. They had eyes and ears down there, of course. So they popped him in at center during practice, and he could play the position if the team needed him to. I think that this is more of a journey than an instant opportunity for Tate. I think he's going to have to learn the offense to be able to learn center and finally take that position over, if that's the full plan. I think getting him cross-trained right now is extremely smart of the Lions, so that we have multiple guys that can step in. Losing Frank Ragnow is huge. There's no replacement for that guy. However, the latest news is that it looks like Rattlage is returning to the position that he knows best, which is right guard. Graham Glasgow is expected to be the team's starting center, and Rattlage will be plugged in at right guard for the season. Offensive coordinator John Morton made it clear that the decision so far has not been based on Rattlage's performance, more so or less so at practice, but rather that the rapport between him and Glasgow, Jared Goff and Glasgow, is the main reason. So if this is completely factual, and I would advise you to vet, go out, find some information, see what you can find out there. That's the news that I'm getting, is that Graham Glasgow is going to be our center. I'm not surprised. I was hopeful for Tate, if this is what happens, right? If this is where we are right now, that Tate is going to go back to his position. I'm not surprised, but then I'm going to go back to what Dan said yesterday, where I thought he was taking a shot at me, which I know he wasn't, but where he said, because we have rookies in, we have to have, all of our guys around them, all of the starters, Decker and Panay and Graham. We need all those guys in around these rookies, where I said in the beginning of the year, right after the draft, I said, I would love to see him, get some center work. However, I think it's super important to have these guys surrounded by vets. If you have Decker on the left, Mahogany at the left guard, Glasgow as center, Tate at right guard, and Panay Sewell at right tackle, you don't have two rookies next to each other. And I think that is super important. Go look at the teams from last year that had rookies playing next to each other. They got killed way more often than any other team did that had a rookie lined up next to a vet. I would take advantage of it all day if I'm a defensive coordinator. I'm going to run right at those rookies all day. So, matter of fact, I think it was it the Bucks game? Was it the Bucks game last year that Hutch had like 4 sacks or 4.5 sacks or something crazy? And I think they had 2 rookies lined up on the right side of the line, if I'm not mistaken. They had a guard and a tackle in. I'll have to go back and revisit that game, which we will do, by the way. We're going to start doing some game recaps from last year, and then we got the full previews. The preview that I'm about to do here in just a few moments is kind of what we're going to be seeing throughout the season, but this one I went way too far on with too many stats. There's going to be some new things that are injected when I start doing the pregame warm-ups here for Green Bay and the Chicago Bears next week. Here's a quote by John Morton. Here's what he said, though, about the situation. He says, I love how smart Rattlage is, and he's just going to continue to grow. I mean, I thought he did an exceptional job when he was at center. I mean, that's a lot mentally. Different snap counts and audibles. It was a lot, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I'm really happy where he's at. So if you break that down a little bit, right, we use a little bit of the psychology of the statement, and what does it mean? He used a lot of past tense. I think he's going to continue to grow. Well, how about I thought he did an exceptional job when he was at center, like he's no longer at center. I mean, that's a lot mentally. It was a lot, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I think there's enough in there to say that Tate's going to be at right guard this year, and I think it's the right move. Tilla says, I sent a super chat but didn't see it pop up. I didn't see it pop up either. It's weird. And normally I'll get an alert. All right, Isaac Tesla, third round rookie, wide receiver. Not a whole lot for this guy, but he's another name, obviously, to keep an eye on tonight. He clearly popped off, in that Hall of Fame game. 2 catches. I think he had, 46 yards on 3 attempts, right, or 3 targets. That's really good work. Really, really, really good work. Obviously, he's getting a lot of reps with the first team this past week. His performance alongside Hendon Hooker tonight could be very pivotal in really determining his future with the Lions, whether he's going to get more first team reps or he's going to get a lot more early action this season than what is expected in what is a deep, very deep wide receiver room. When you think about it, you still have Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond, Jamison Williams, and St. Brown all in that room. And all 4 of those guys, I mean, they're bona fide starters in their own right. And depending on what scheme you're in, man, it's going to be hard to keep all these guys off the field. So Isaac Tesla tonight it's going to be a great opportunity to see where he's developed this past week. And if Hendon and him have connected, that chemistry is important. Obviously, I care more about his chemistry with Jared Goff. His hat feels super tight, man. I'll have to stretch it out a little bit. All right, how about Grant Stewart? We'll switch to the defense for a minute. Grant Stewart and Ahmed Hassanin. Look, defensively, these players are super important to this team right now. Grant Stewart has been that injection of energy that we've needed. This guy's an absolute... I mean, he's not only a ball of energy, he's just an animal on the field. Super smart, savvy, puts himself in the right position to win. I think that Grant Stewart and Ahmed Hassanin are expected to really shine tonight. I think that Stewart's relentless motor and athleticism that really showed up last week when he popped, hit in the gap, fell, jumped up, made the sack. Just insane performance on that play. These are players to watch. I think that Ahmed Hassanin's first performance in tonight's preseason game, it's his second performance, but you get what I'm saying. His first real preseason game, it's going to be heavily scrutinized. You're going to have a lot of fans, a lot of analysts wondering why Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes didn't sign Zadarius Smith or go out and get Trey Hendrickson or Myles Garrett or, any of the other $50 million guys, right? It's going to be scrutinized because after tonight's game, he's expected to play well. He's expected to help this defense win. At least a certain faction of the fan base feels that this team can't win without Ahmed Hassanin having 10 sacks this season. Way too much pressure to put on this guy's shoulders. Way too much pressure. He needs to go out and just play clean football and not make big mistakes. That's all we need from Ahmed Hassanin. Clean football, few mistakes, learn from every rep, make some football plays. That's all we expect from a rookie. If you're expecting more than that, then you probably should have got him in the first round, right? Anything past the first round, you're not really expecting guys to go out there and change the game. It happens. You have a few players that'll go out and change the game no matter where they're picked. Brock Purdy was one, right? Tom Brady was another. There's guys that will show up, but I'm not expecting Ahmed Hassanin to just light it up immediately. I'm expecting Marcus Davenport to do that. But in tonight's game where Ahmed Hassanin is going to be able to go up against, second and third team looks, I do expect him to have a good game. Last week, he was the highest graded defensive player for the Detroit Lions. This week, maybe he doubles down. Maybe he tears this game up, and I hope he does. But don't put too much pressure on him. Just let the guy figure it out. He needs time like everybody else to develop and grow and turn into a really good football player for this team. And then there's Tyreek Williams, man. So we highlighted him this morning a little bit on the Inside the Den, kind of recapping Tyreek and some other things that they were discussing this morning. But this guy's, if he's getting his debut tonight, which again, it's been said that Tyreek is going to get his debut and getting first team reps, obviously with Aleem McNeil sidelined. I'm not sure if DJ Reader's getting action tonight or not. I'm not sure. But I think that Tyreek, with what we've seen already in practice and what we're hearing in practice too in the days that we haven't been there, he's making a big impact. I would love to see him get some real game action tonight and see all of this come alive in a real situation. And then there's Rock Ya-Sin and Avonte Maddox. Obviously with the injury to Ennis Rakestraw and his subsequent sideline for the season with shoulder surgery, it's time for these guys to pick it up. Both of them have played well so far in practice. I think that Rock Ya-Sin has got way more to his game than I think a lot of fans expected. And Avonte Maddox is an absolute Swiss Army knife. So those are the players to watch, and that was a lot longer than I wanted to go through. But the key to tonight, it's not a surprise. We need clean football. We don't want a ton of turnovers or penalties. We want to create some, but we don't want a bunch on our side of the football, right? I think the focus is going to be minimizing mistakes at all costs. If you make a mistake, you've got to learn from it. Develop some cohesion tonight, right? These guys need to develop that chemistry while they're working together. I mean, in reality, for a lot of these guys, it's the first time they're playing together, or their second, but it's really their first time playing together in a game that somewhat matters to the team a little bit more than that Hall of Fame game. This week is when everybody gets an opportunity to shine around the league. And I think that that's the important part for these guys. Just go play your game, man. Have fun. Learn. I know the fans are going to expect a ton. They're if they lose the game, it's a meltdown in Detroit. Sell the team. Brad Holmes sucks. He didn't pick the right players. That's what you're going to hear. Not from me. You're going to hear analytical breakdowns and statistical analysis tonight during the game and after the game, and see exactly how this team is growing. So now we're going to get into part 2, which is really the tale of the Tate, man, and what tonight is going to show us and what we're looking forward to. Let me wind back. I know that there was some questions earlier on, will the game be televised? And the answer is yes. Let me see if I can throw this stuff up on the screen for you guys. You could always check the Detroit Lions website. All right, they always have some good information there, especially when it comes to how to watch the game or how to listen to the game. I know some of you were mentioning the other day that you wanted to listen to Dan Miller versus TJ Lang. And you will have both opportunities to do that. So if you take a look at the screen, you can watch the game live tonight on the Lions TV network. Now, what that means is these are all of the affiliated TV stations. So if you're up in the Upper Peninsula, it's the local 3 up in Marquette. If you're in Cadillac, it's the local 32 on WFQX. In Saginaw, it's the WNEM, Channel 5. Grand Rapids is Fox 17. Lansing is Fox 47. Detroit is Fox 2. And then Toledo, Ohio is Fox 36. So that's where you're going to be able to tune into the game tonight live. And play-by-play tonight is Jason Benetti and analyst TJ Lang. Sideline reporter Danny Rogers. Live streaming, obviously fans can watch local and primetime games for free on their phone and tablet devices on DetroitLions.com or Detroit Lions mobile app. I'd have to say that has never worked for me. So you guys let me know how that's worked, because it's never worked for me. I've never been able to watch any game live on that site. You can also listen live tonight on the Lions radio network, which again is an affiliate map here. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can find your local radio station. If you're closer to Detroit, it'd be 97.1. If you're in Lansing, it's VFN AM channel. If you're in Grand Rapids, it's WGHN on the FM side and WBFX. Anywhere else, just go to DetroitLions.com/tune in and you'll find all the information you're looking for or that you need for tonight. Play-by-play on listening live will be Dan Miller and Lomas Brown. That's who we'll have on the call tonight when we're live on this channel watching the game. Of course, you can stay connected everywhere else, but please visit the Detroit Lions website for all of that information. They'll keep you guys up to date. All right. Now the important part, right? All of my crazy analysis. Now, this is somewhat of a training camp for me too, right? It's been a year since I've really done major breakdowns. Last night I had to think about it. I'm like, shoot, I don't even have a thumbnail. I got to create a new thumbnail for this year because I don't want these stale old thumbnails that people just regurgitate every year. I want something new, something different. And you let me know when you see it if you like it. I'll probably do some tweaks and release the final version for week 1. So importance of the game tonight, like I said, it's important for evaluation, right? It's important to get these players some time on the field. But let me give you the high overview, the high level overview right now. The Detroit Lions are 0-1 because they lost in the Hall of Fame game. The Atlanta Falcons are entering this game at 0-0. This is their first preseason game like the rest of the NFL this week. The last regular season finish for both teams, the Lions, as you know, were 15-2. They were first in the NFC North, and they had the number 1 seed headed into the playoffs, where they then lost in the divisional round 45-31. God, that still stings. To the Washington Commanders. The Falcons finished 8-9 last year, dead last in the NFC South. They have not been to the playoffs in 6 years. NFC South title drought, they last won 7 years ago. So they haven't been in the playoffs for 6 years, but the last time they were in the playoffs, they won the NFC South title. Game context, right? I already gave you the date and time and all that good stuff. It's tonight. It starts at 7 p.m. It will be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, so it is an away game. It is in a dome, so the weather really doesn't matter, but it'll be mid-80s, partly cloudy, 20% chance of pop-up showers. Wind south-southwest at 8 miles an hour, but we don't have to worry about any of that because they're going to be indoors. Stakes for the game, really nothing. Outside of the Falcons, this is their debut. This is their preseason debut. So getting to look at their first depth chart on the field, right, and at home in front of their fans. So this is their first crack at it. Lions, look, we got to shake off the Hall of Fame shortcomings, right? It was a rough game. So some fine tuning tonight. Let's get some rotations in ahead of the joint practices and figure out what we need to correct, because that's what tonight's all about. In part 2 of the game breakdown, it's the offense versus the defense. And we're going to start with the Lions offense. So there was a lot of questions the other day. One by Wickster talking about, 12 or 21 personnel and what are the limitations with the Lions if they use a 2-back system. So I dipped off last night into studying some analytics about what did the Lions do last year? What schemes did we run and how often? I'll start with John Morton. So the new install with John Morton is expecting a very similar route concept as last year. New language, of course, and then some added wrinkles. Morton would like to emphasize explosives, maintaining a balanced attack with the run game, but most of the work in training camp so far has included a short pass work, out routes, short chunk plays, maintaining the balanced attack, mixing under the center power runs with RPOs, and play action from the 11 personnel grouping. So you're right. I just said that. Did you guys hear it? I said RPOs. You're probably like, whatever, Will. We don't run RPOs. We do. We run the run pass option. The one option that is not in there is Jared Goff's legs. So that's the third wheel of the RPO. You run, you pass, or you take off, right, as the quarterback. We still run RPOs. We just don't emphasize Jared Goff running the football. But we do a lot of work in the 11 personnel. So personnel groupings for the Lions last season, they ran 11 personnel 54.2% of the time. I expect that number to change quite a bit this season. They also ran more 12 personnel than most teams. Matter of fact, they ran it the third most of all teams at 37.21% of the time last season. So 11 and 12 personnel made up 91.41% of plays run by this offense. They also had a portion of balanced plays. 8.59% of everything else was a mixture, whether it was 21, 22, or 31, or 00, or you know what I mean? They didn't really stick to one area, but they did run some empty sets last year too. If you would like to look at personnel groupings, I'll drop it into the post today on YouTube so that you can take a look at where I get these stats. Offensive threat. So I want to explain a little bit more about the 11 personnel and the 12 personnel, what we can do out of these packages, and why it's been working for the Detroit Lions. So in your 11 personnel, you got 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. It really forces defenses out of their base defense and into a nickel or a dime package. It helps create space for the wide receivers as Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta as their flex tight end seem to get quite a bit of separation. It does allow for running backs like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to exploit a light box. When you're spreading a defense out, this is why 11 personnel works so well, is you can run so many different things out of this look. And matter of fact, you can mask 11 personnel and 12 personnel to kind of look similar. So 12 personnel run 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, adds run pass ambiguity, enables power runs and play action with tight ends like Sam Laporta and Brock Wright. It still keeps our elite wide receivers on the field, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, and it stresses the DBs in coverage. The Lions used, like I said, 11 personnel 54.2% and 12 personnel 32.2%, and they ranked second in EPA per play from 11 personnel and 4th in EPA per play from 12 personnel. So that is elite efficiency from both looks last season. Again, I'm expecting a lot of the same thing, but different at the same time. And then we run a little bit of tempo. It's moderately used, and it's a moderate plan that the Lions have installed. They really rely heavily on pre-snap adjustments, shifts, and motion to create some favorable matchups, which we'll see again when Jared Goff hits the field, but hopefully Hendon Hooker tonight. Yes, Peter Van Larhoven says, we ran super vanilla last week. And I would say that you're exactly right. That's why a lot of this conversation here, it's more high level. But at the same time, you see it on the field. It all looks the same. It all blends. And you can do a ton out of both of these personnel groupings. So why so much 11 and 12? That's the question. Why are teams transitioning, or most teams transitioning to more 11 and 12 personnel groupings? I would say the most important thing is it's all about disguise. And this was one of the questions in the Motor City mailbag this week. Let me go back to the questions. The question is, how is John Morton's new offensive scheme different from Ben Johnson's play action heavy system? And is Jared Goff adapting well to it? Well, one, I can't tell you if Jared Goff's adapting well, and this was from Brian. But how is it different? We really won't see how different it's going to be just yet, because we don't have Jared Goff in the game, or, you know, most of the starters in the game. But the main question in here is, you know, how is this new offensive scheme going to be different from Ben? I'll tell you how much it's going to be alike instead. And that's about disguise, and multiplicity. That is what John Morton is going to emphasize in these schemes. When you have a versatile or versatility in all of your skill players, all of your skill positions, that they can operate very effectively or efficiently in both 11 and 12 personnel, you really gain this ability to present identical pre-snap structures, like a 2x2 formation, but execute vastly different concepts post-snap. That forces the defense into conflict. Anytime a defense is in chaos, confused, or in conflict, you're going to win the rep, right? Especially if they can't key personnel groupings to predict run versus pass tendencies. I know I just said a bunch of words. At the end of the day, you know, you're aligning in similar looks across both groupings, is all that really means. You neutralize defensive cues, and then you create the matchup stress or a matchup nightmare for the defense. A flexed out tight end in 12 can mimic a slot receiver spacing in 11 personnel. So it's kind of hard to distinguish what they're going to do, right? If you've got a flexed out tight end, like I said, out in the slot, that is usually where the slot receiver is in 11. So is he going to block? Is he going to crash down? Is he going to go out, you know, run a route? You don't know. Although, are you still going to run the football? You could. You can do anything out of that formation. So while you still give the ability to shift into a heavy run look, like I just said, without substituting, this kind of interchangeability puts the defense in a bind. Do they stay in nickel? Do they risk gap integrity? Do they shift to a base and expose coverage mismatches? You have to make all of these snap decisions. And this is why it is so important to have a really good linebacker. They can recognize all of these things. Now, to expand what a 2x2 is, you have two eligible receivers. Thanks, Wickster, but I'm not going to play the video right now if that's what you're asking. To expand what a 2x2 is, you have two eligible receivers to the left, and you have two eligible receivers to the right. Key word here is eligible, which means you can include wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, split out wide, or the fan favorite, number 70, is reporting as eligible, or number 68, Taylor Decker and Skipper. It's the most famous play inside Ford Field. Now, these formations are often run from shotgun or pistol, but for the Lions, it's obviously shotgun. Examples of this. So in 11 personnel with a 2x2 formation, let's say you have one running back with Gibbs, one tight end with Sam Laporta, three wide receivers with St. Brown, J-Mo, and Tesla. The tight end here can be flexed or inline, right? A flex tight end refers to a tight end who lines up off the line of scrimmage or outside the traditional inline position, often functioning more like a wide receiver would be. In 12 personnel in a 2x2 formation, you'd have one running back, let's say Montgomery, two tight ends, Sam Laporta and Brock Wright, and two wide receivers, we'll go with J-Mo and St. Brown. Now, the tight ends here can be split or inline. So you can get them out wide or you can get them tight to the offensive line. The Lions can use and interchange all of these personnel groupings, and you can start to imagine all of the different things like Wickster was the other day, and we were talking about, man, there's so much you can do, with this team. And you tell me, when you're in, let's say it's 3rd and 5, and you're in your own red zone, and you now have Tesla in line as opposed to Brock Wright. If you have Tesla lined up like a tight end, and then you have Sam Laporta on the other side lined up like a tight end, because he is, but you put them both in a slot, and then you still have Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo out wide, and then you have Gibbs or Montgomery in the backfield. You could split. You could then send the running back out wide. You could send the running back, into a trips formation between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta, or on the other side with J-Mo and Tesla. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. That's why this team uses 11 and 12 personnel so much, because you can disguise everything. You can run everything out of it. And so this will not change. I guarantee you that Morton is not going to change any of that. It wouldn't make any sense. They're so good at it. So how could we use the 12 personnel grouping, like in the 12 personnel in a 2x2 formation? Like I said, it's Montgomery, 2 tight ends, or Gibbs and 2 tight ends, and then 2 wide receivers. This is how they can use it. Gibbs, Montgomery, they can motion out to create an empty look or a 3x2 look, 3 to the right, 2 to the left, or vice versa. Laporta can flex out wide or play in line at any time, giving flexibility between 11 and 12, kind of what I was just saying. St. Brown and Williams can run mirrored routes or layered concepts. And then this formation allows John Morton to really get creative on how he wants to utilize these guys. It helps you to read coverages pre-snap with symmetry. It helps to, run mirrored plays or tag one side for variation. You can use motion to shift into a 3x1 or trips for a matchup advantage. Again, all of this stuff is interchangeable. An inline tight end is a tight end who lines up directly next to the offensive tackle. I don't know if I explained that. On the line of scrimmage. Here's some other common examples of pass plays or route concepts. You have the stick route, quick out plus a seam combo. It's great against zone. We see where Jared Goff eats zone up all the time. You have the snag, or it's a corner plus a flat plus a snag route, creates triangle read. You have the flood. It's a layered route on one side. It's a deep and an intermediate and a short route. So you're getting all 3 looks. You have the Hoss, which is a seam plus a hitch combo, which attacks soft zones and linebacker matchups. Then you got levels, which is a horizontal stretch or a crossing route, or with a crossing route, beats man and zone. From what I understand, this is the play to use in Madden. Mesh, you got 2 shallow crosses with a sit route, creates natural rubs versus man coverage. And then you got the Yankee, which is a deep post plus a deep cross. The Lions use this one often. Play action heavy, attacks single high safeties. So when you look at Kirby Joseph always out there in that single high safety, I would be running the Yankee right at it. Why? That deep cross is going to pull, it's going to pull Kirby, right? And that deep post could pull Kirby, and then the deep cross goes underneath. It's a perfect way to get at that single high safety. And then you also have the dagger. Everyone knows the dagger, right? It's a slot vertical and then an outside dig. It stresses deep safety and intermediate defenders. A whole lot of words for a lot of stuff you guys don't care about. But as we do on this channel, we do the high overview, and then we do all the layman's terms and just talk football, right? Key tendencies, the frequency during the 2024 season. The Lions used RPOs on 30 of their 72 inside zone run calls. This is not Jaden Daniels. This is not Jalen Hurts type of an RPO. This is just run or pass. Not tuck and run by Jared Goff using those broken baby giraffe legs. Type of RPOs, they frequently utilize the flop. I know we're going to go into more stuff here. The flop, bubble screen, or the now screens, where the screen is on the same side as the run direction. This strategy aims to counter defensive run fitters and stunts by offering a passing option to the bubble screen if the defense overcommits to stopping the run. A little bit of a more explanation here. A flop bubble refers to a bubble screen thrown to the opposite side of the formation from where the quarterback initially opens or fakes. It's often paired with a RPO or a play action, and the quarterback flops his hips or eyes across the formation to deliver the ball. Right? The bubble route, the receiver, usually a slot, arcs backward and outward toward the sideline. That is the play that I hate the most. I can't stand the bubble. I hate it. I think it's a terrible play for the Lions, but they're going to continue to use it, as we've already seen in practice. Flop action, quarterback opens to one side, often faking a zone, and then flips backward to throw the bubble to the opposite side. So you're going to one side, and then it's a jump hop going to the other way. Usually to Jared Goff's left. It's hard for him to jump back, right, and kick his hips back to throw to the right. That play would just take way too long. Purpose, obviously, is disguising intent here. It manipulates the linebackers, and it punishes over pursuers and aggressive run fits. So if you have a guy like Aiden that loves to get super aggressive, you can take those guys out of the play. If you have a very aggressive linebacker, you utilize this stuff to take him out of the play. You're using running backs in the slots. You're getting a little bit of horizontal stretch. You target the quick outs and seam routes early against the zone. These are all things that can be done, within the 12 and 11 personnel. All of this stuff, right? And more, and so much more. Like stuff that I don't even understand or know. How could a defense adjust to this, right? That's the biggest question. How can the Falcons adjust to this tonight? And that's what we're going to look for. Hybrid personnel packages is number one. Use a big nickel. It's exactly what I was calling for last year. Matter of fact, prior to the Commanders game, I said, please don't blitz. Like, just please don't blitz against the Commanders. Number one, it doesn't work against an RPO. And number two, we didn't have the personnel. Really, we didn't. So we blitzed, we got our ass kicked. In this situation, if you have a team that is running these types of things at you, which the majority of teams are, you want to get into a big nickel using three safeties, and I was calling for that all year last year. I wanted to see three safeties on the field. I would love to see it. Put two linebackers in, three safeties, right? So that gives you five. You go six up front. I want to see it. So six up front would be four down, two out wide, two linebackers, and then three safeties along the backside. So if you go into a big nickel, it matches both speed and size. It gives you an extra linebacker on the field, if you will, but a little bit smaller, more versatile, a little bit more speed. It deploys versatile linebackers as well who can cover tight ends and fill run gaps. So if you're thinking like Brian Branch here, Fred Warner, Kyle Hamilton, maybe McDuffie. So I'm thinking of guys like that can play this position. You also want to disguise your coverage pre-snap, obviously. If you rotate the safeties late, it's going to confuse the quarterback, right? Pre-snap reads, or in this case, if it's Hendon Hooker or Kyle Allen, if you rotate these safeties late, it's going to confuse Kyle and Hendon's pre-snap reads. They're thinking it's going one direction, right? Or the defense is shifting the other way, and then you snap the ball and it's going, they're moving, right? And at a split second, you've got to make a change. And that's where young guys like Hendon Hooker or young rookies this season, they have trouble with this right here when you're rotating safeties. Simulate pressures. You want to send four. This is what the Vikings do often. They send four, but you make it look like six. So they do this weird, you guys seen it. They do this like rush 8, drop 8 technique. And then within that, you'll see them rush 4, make it look like 6. You got 6 coming and then 2 peel off. That's really hard to kind of decipher quickly. Where am I going to put this ball? Right? Who's open? Jared Goff has been one of the best in the game to deal with these situations. And then obviously there's defensive line stunts, using linebacker as creepers, disrupt the timing without really sacrificing your coverage. And then lastly, it's match quarters or pattern match cover 3 to handle all the crossing routes and the play action. I see the Lions using a lot of different things this year. I really do. Yeah, Mr. Thomas, I get you there, buddy. Says we should have beat the Commanders. That pick 6 killed the Lions and me. I don't know which pick 6. I think Jared Goff only had 1 in that game, right? Or was that on JMO? I don't even remember now. There was so much going on in that game. It was a disaster. Part 3. Let's get into some Falcons versus the Lions defense here. I know I've thrown a ton at you guys. Atlanta fields a zone read infused power run attack. They utilize Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier, which that won't be tonight. Matter of fact, let me get up the depth chart. Tonight, you're going to see Carlos Washington, Nathan Carter, Elijah Dotson, and Jashawn Corbin. So just transpose those names. So in the zone read that utilizes the power run attack, with Bijan, now it's going to be Carlos Washington tonight. Vertical shots off play action. It's a lot of the same things that the Lions utilize. Off the play action, the Lions like to get some deep shots mixed in there. Penix and Kirk Cousins are going to be sitting out the game tonight, so all of the live reps are going to be going to Emory Jones and Taylor Henneke. Taylor Henneke is one to watch. I think he's done a fairly decent job, and I'll be interested to see how good he plays tonight. Where he's going to end up after 53 cuts, I think is going to be. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but again, if Hendon Hooker's not looking better by, what is our 4th preseason game, I think at that moment you might see some action by Brad Holmes, or you may not. I don't know. Maybe you're just going to ride or die with Jared Goff. Either win or you don't. They utilize some tempo. It's slow to medium pace. It's not excruciatingly fast or extremely fast. They line up in 11 personnel, the most of any team last season, 85.5% of the time. That's 30% more than the Lions. So if you're really comfortable in defending 11 personnel, which our team has to be because that's what we're going up against all the time in practice, then I would say that, while they're doing that to create run and pass conflict, just like the Lions do, our defense should be really good at defending that. They also like to utilize power and elusiveness with Bijan. I mean, clearly the guy has both. Tonight he won't be in. And obviously the mobility of Penix, again, who won't be in. The Falcons can be a very dangerous team this year. I think they're going to climb out of the basement. I really do. I'm expecting a lot for this team. I think that Michael Penix is going to show exactly why he's the starter. And I think that Bijan Robinson's second year is going to be special. But you still have a good mix of wide receivers like Drake London and Darnell Mooney. Ray McLeod, I don't really know much about him. They have Jamal Agnew, former Lion. Kadero Hodge, kind of washed up, but he's around. And they got DJ Chark, who's... I didn't even realize he was on the squad, honestly. But decent wide receiver room. I would say they need a major upgrade soon. And you might see a major upgrade after 53 cuts if somebody interesting comes available. The Lions' defensive identity, obviously we use a base 4-3 under Aaron Glenn. Under Calvin Shepard, from what I understand, it's staying the same. It's still the same gap and a half integrity that they have to maintain, and pattern reading obviously in the secondary. So if we're still gonna be in this 4-3 base hybrid scheme with gap integrity being a single or 1.5 gaps responsibility, that's for the defensive line. it's not going to look much different. Where I see it being different is this. I said it in the offseason, and I'm going to say it for the 15th time right now. You will see a lot of linebacker movement in tonight's game. You will see our linebackers getting free runs at the quarterback consistently throughout tonight's game. I promise you, I mean, you can call me a liar tonight, but as this season wanes on, our linebackers are going to be heavily used in our defensive scheme to get sacks or TFLs in the game. I've seen it already in practice. We've seen it in the Hall of Fame game. It's exactly what I'm expecting from Kelvin Shepard, a former linebacker, former linebackers coach, and he wants to emphasize his best players on the field. Jack Campbell has the speed and ability, obviously the mental makeup to know exactly where to go and when to go. You saw Grant Stewart creeping on the line last week, and he ended up getting a sack out of it. I mean, he blasted right through a hole. He got picked up by the running back, landed on his chest, pops up, and still makes the sack. So Grant Stewart's fast. You're gonna see guys like that utilized consistently to leverage the offense and utilize the speed of the defense. Key conflict tonight, I think, is can the Detroit Lions interior defensive line control the line of scrimmage? That's our biggest. I think that's our biggest takeaway of the night is the defensive line. There's a lot of mixture of or there's a lot of change, I should say, between last year and this year, mostly due to injury. All right, we've got a rookie, and Levi Onwuzurike is down 2 now. So 2 of our starter and starter rotation players are out. And I'm not sure how much DJ Reader is going to play tonight. So you're going to have a lot of the backups in, which would be the official depth chart was released yesterday too. I got the one from the Lions. So our unofficial is Ali McNeil, who's out, DJ Reader. Those are your 2 starters at defensive tackle. Well, with Aleem out, it's Tyreek in it, at defensive tackle and DJ Reader. And then behind DJ Reader, it's Roy Lopez. So those are your top 4 right now. Ali McNeil, Tyreek Williams, DJ Reader, Roy Lopez. Behind them is Pat O'Connor and Mekhi Wingo. Again, Mekhi Wingo's out. So I'm expecting tonight we should see DJ Reader, I would think. But if not, it's going to be Roy Lopez, Tyreek Williams, Pat O'Connor, Miles Adams, Keith Cooper, Chris Smith, Broderick Martin. So let's say DJ Reader doesn't get action tonight. Maybe he doesn't. I haven't heard either way. We're probably going to see a ton of Roy Lopez and Pat O'Connor, Miles Adams and Keith Cooper, and probably a little short stint of Tyreek Williams. We're stacked. We're absolutely stacked. We've got a really good defensive line. It could be one of the best this year. Positional battles. That's next. What are the positional battles to pay attention to tonight? Let's start with the Falcons side. Third string quarterback battle, obviously between Easton Stick and Emory Jones. With Penix and Cousins sitting tonight, Easton Stick and Emory Jones, they're gonna get all the reps tonight. There's no guarantee that the team is gonna keep 3 quarterbacks, so we could see, one of them become available. Not saying that the Lions are interested, but it's someone to watch. Not only in tonight's battle, but obviously as the season, progresses here, are there going to be some options for the Lions to add to the practice squad later? The Falcons could still trade Cousins, right? They absolutely could. And I'm not saying that the Lions should pick him up, but I'm saying the Lions should pick him up. If you're going to spend some money on somebody and you're trying to win a Super Bowl, a 36-year-old quarterback that has an extreme amount of experience, has a cannon for an arm, really smart football player, maybe you can get a decent deal where you're not paying a ton of money and you're not giving up a ton of draft picks. That is a move I would make. If you are more concerned about Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen not being the guys that you want them to be, don't be concerned about an edge rusher, because if you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter if you have a $35 million edge rusher. It's meaningless. That would be the biggest waste of money ever. But what wouldn't be is a quarterback that has started 100+ games in the NFL that could step in and win some football games for the Lions. I'm not saying he's as good as Jared Goff. I'm not saying he's better than Jared Goff, but I'm saying he can win some football games. That's the move that I would make. You heard it here first. That's all I'm saying. The kicker competition for the Falcons between Whey or Young Ho Koo, excuse me. Maybe it is Young Ho Whey. And Lenny Craig. I'm not interested in any of those kickers. And then the third string running back battle for the Falcons. You have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, obviously, as the 1 and 2. Clear third running back doesn't exist right now, so it's open between Carlos Washington Jr. He probably has the highest floor on the team. And in terms of upside, the former UFL star Jashaun Corbin and Nathan Carter. That would make up your competition for the Falcons in the running back department. So some good players to keep an eye on for the Lions. Again, I would love to know in the comments below. I've been talking a lot. I got to give my voice a break. I would love to know who you guys are going to be watching tonight and why. What are the most important battles for you? Phone line's open at 9:45, by the way. Mike P, you have a wonderful day, my man. Jack2125, what are you saying? Joe Schmo can't believe they just signed another one. Who signed what? Who are you talking about? Yo, are you talking about quarterbacks? Yeah. I'm telling you right now, quarterback situation in Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders might be starting for that squad, and I would not be surprised. Let's see how he plays. But I would not be surprised one bit when Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback for that team. He's got it, man. That guy has the mental makeup. He has the ability. They just need to give him a chance. He needs to give himself a chance. So in tonight's game, obviously you have your rookie debut. Campbell said on Wednesday he hasn't decided if Tyreek Williams or Tate Rattlage are going to be playing tonight, as I emphasized earlier in the show. But a quote by Dan Campbell said, I would like to get them going in this game, but I'm not 100% set on that yet, end quote. Now, Williams obviously has been getting a lot of first-team reps alongside DJ Reader and should play a big role come the start of the regular season. He's looked really good, especially with, Ali McNeil out, and the latest news with Ali McNeil that he's no longer doing rehab. He's training, which means that he's ahead of schedule and should be back sooner rather than later. It's still going to be, 5-6 weeks into the season, and there's no telling on if Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are going to opt to bring him back after the bye week to give him plenty of time and rest to make sure that he's 100%. Pass rush tonight. So the Detroit Lions pass rush generated just 1 sack and 1 quarterback hit against the Chargers last week. By the way, this is written by Tim Twentyman. And that was a blitz, obviously, by Grant Stewart. So my eyes are on the linebackers. My eyes are on the defensive line to start. On the offensive side of the football, it's offensive line, man. How are we doing? And then obviously Hendon Hooker. There were a couple of nice rushes up front that generated some pressure last week, but nothing really concrete in the stat sheet to be happy about. The coaching staff is still trying to pin down what the depth chart will look like behind Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, Williams, and then Reader, right? Those are our starting 4 on the defensive line. A number of players have shown the ability in practice to be productive and provide good depth. Can they translate that to the game and make a mark tonight? That's the key question. El Kudin Muhammad. Obviously, he's one to watch. Nate Lynn, Ahmed Hassanin, Isaac Ukwu, and Keith Cooper. Someone needs to separate themselves from the pack, as Tim Twentyman says, and let's talk about it for just a moment. El Kudin Muhammad last season I mean, he flashed some pretty good play at times. And I want to say, I'm going to look him up. I think he has 7 years of experience in the NFL. This might be his 7th season, if I'm not mistaken. So he started with the Saints in 2017. He was with the Colts 2018 to 21. Played with the Bears in 22. The Colts again in 23. The Cowboys in 24. And he's been with the Lions since last season. So, wow, this is 9th season. 9th season for Al-Qadim Muhammad. 6'3", 255, 6'4", 250, somewhere in that range. He's got great speed. I think he leverages the bend pretty well. I think he's able to beat some of these tackles. I really love how long he is. Arm length's 33 1/4. He's got decent sized hands, 9 3/8. He runs a 4.75 40. 10-yard split at 1.65. That's pretty quick. That's pretty quick. 6'3 1/2 is what they're saying he is at 253 pounds. I think he has some innate ability to get after the quarterback. I also think that he's pretty good against the run. Al-Qadim Muhammad needs to have a good game tonight. He really does. Nate Lynn, I'm less motivated about. Obviously, Ahmed Hassanin still has a long way to go, a lot to learn, but he flashed some really good play last week. Very violent hands, very quick feet, puts himself in good position. He's very strong at the point of attack. I mean, all these things that he's doing early are the same things that he was doing at Boise, right? Always has his eyes downfield or into the backfield, watching where the ball is, and he's able to make a play. You saw him last week shed that tackle, threw him away, like I said, like a piece of paper, and then dove in and got the running back that was cutting up the outside tackle gap and made the play. And I think Grant Stewart was there to help clean it up. Keith Cooper has been the buzz of Detroit right now on the defensive side of the football, not named Aiden Hutchinson. Keith Cooper he's a UDFA. Where did he play for? In college, I can't remember. Let's look him up. Brain fart today. I think it was Houston or something. Or Idaho. Houston. So 6'5", 280 pounds out of Dickinson, Texas. He was a second-team All-Big Ten Conference by league coaches in 2024. He was a third-team All-Big 12 Conference. He started all 12 games at the defensive end position. He was a 4-time University of Houston honorary game captain. He led the team in sacks last year with 3.5. He tied the team lead for tackles last year, 8.5 for loss. Second among Big 12 edge defenders in quarterback hits with 10. The guy has put together some pretty good tape. He's had a pretty good career so far. And I think that what we saw last week was just the tip of the iceberg from Keith Cooper. This guy's a menace. He's an absolute menace. And the more that he can learn from Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, and obviously getting that big teddy bear hug from DJ Reader, who's just pouring all sorts of love into this kid, he's going to be great, man. I really think that Keith Cooper is going to be one of those surprise guys this year in the NFL that makes his way onto a roster. I hope it's with Detroit. I hope he continues to climb. I do not want to see this guy cut and end up on another team and he turns out to be a really good football player. That's happened to the Lions too many times. Not maybe so much in the last 5 seasons, but too many times in the past. Nope, 3.5 sacks. He's not a legend, but for a defensive tackle, Mr. Thomas, he that's pretty good. DJ Reader had a career best last year with 3 sacks. What does that tell you? And DJ Reader is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Aleem McNeil has, he averages 5.5 or 6 a year. And that's really good for a pass rushing defensive tackle. Whereas DJ Reader is more of a nose tackle, right? He's not a pass rushing defensive tackle. Keith Cooper was out on the end, and this is Houston that we're talking about. So you have to play to the strength of your football team too. It's all scheme relative and how many snaps he plays, right? He had 27 pressures last year. He had 77 snaps on special teams. So he's playing all 3 phases here, or all 2 phases on the defensive side of the football. He was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school. His nickname is the Grave Diner. I don't get that. It's not Grave Digger, it's Grave Diner. Interesting. His dream job out of football is real estate. Give me a call. Coop, give me a call. All right. Special teams tonight. We need to see somebody obviously do some work in the punt and kick return game tonight. Khalif Raymond, I'm not so sure he's going to get a ton of work tonight. He might. But last week we saw Grant Stewart back there returning kicks. I think that we need to see somebody else back there. I don't want to see Grant Stewart get hurt. But in the Chargers game last week, he returned the first kick and fumbled the kickoff. And then we had a muff punt. And we had an illegal kickoff penalty and an illegal touching penalty. So special teams was a bit of an issue, which usually not. Dave Phipp usually has, big time control over this unit. Special teams coordinator Dave Phipp and assistant special teams coordinator Jet Modkins have a lot on their plate trying to figure out just who they can rely on and who can make this roster based on their play on, for special teams. Again, with all the mistakes last week, hopefully we see a cleaner game and hopefully we see some, more opportunities for younger guys. Dominic Lovett, has anyone heard if he's back and healthy? I haven't heard. I hit a wall last night, so I planned on being on last night, and I just hit a wall, man. 4:30 comes early some days. And Eric's off today. He's having some major tooth pain. He's got to go get a tooth pulled, so make sure you guys give him some love. He should be back by Tuesday. Looks like Dominic Lovett's going to be out for a week plus with this abdominal injury. So we won't see Lovett back there tonight. And Pat O'Connor's got a leg issue. He might be out. And Jamarco Jones, obviously with the ankle, he might be out for a week or so, maybe 10 days for Lovett. So it's... The official report, I think, will come out around 4 p.m. tonight. So game's at 7. So maybe 5:30. The official report should be out no later than 5:30. Takeaways obviously is a big emphasis this year for the defense. We want to see this team generating some takeaways tonight. At least, getting in the motion, right? Muscle memory is the most important thing in this game. Like you have to practice what you preach, right? And then you have to put into motion what you're preaching. You got to practice it. You've got to constantly be trying to punch these balls out. And that's what I'm looking for tonight. So when I'm keyed in on watching guys, it's making sure that whatever they're trying to teach, that they're trying to do in the game. Injuries and availability. Obviously, Taylor Decker is still working his way back from a calf injury. It's doubtful that he's going to play tonight. I've heard both ways. I've heard limited snaps and then not at all. I don't think he's going to play. On the Falcons side, though, we can't forget there's a couple of really good football players that got picked up. Jalon Walker is going to get the start tonight. So we're going to see firsthand just how good this kid was or is, and if the Lions made a mistake. Jalon Walker. I mean, they would have had to have moved up to get him, I believe. Where was Jalon Walker taken? 15th overall. So they would have had to have moved up quite a bit. But this kid's supposed to be special, man. And starting at the outside linebacker position for the Falcons. Let me try to find some news on this kid real quick because he's going to be fun to watch. He had a minor setback. He just returned back to the team I read that last night, but let me dive into this article here on Jelon Walker. He had a hamstring injury during training camp. He is starting on the outside. Raheem Morris said that the team's seen enough progress to give Walker the green light for more work. He will participate in Wednesday's scrimmage, and then the plan for him is to play against the Lions. So there's your news on Jelon Walker. Take a look at the depth chart here. The other guy that I really liked, who the Falcons picked up, is Rook Ororo. He is now he's a starting defensive lineman for the Falcons. And I do believe that was a mistake. I think that Brad Holmes should have got this guy. That is about the only, outside of Kobe Turner. I really loved Rook Ororo, and I thought that, yeah, he was really raw, and he could play on the outside and the inside. But that is somebody that I was hoping that Brad was going to pick up. He's ahead of Brandon Dorloose right now, which should tell you something, right? They also picked up James Pierce. So the fact that they've got James Pierce and Jelon Walker in this draft, the Falcons could be a very nasty defense this year. I love those kind of moves when a team goes after and locks down a couple of positions like that. Obviously, Brad has kind of done it his own way, a little bit differently, because this team needed to be rebuilt. Like every positional group needed to be rebuilt. And that's why you've seen Brad take, a first round pick at all different positions. Even when he's had 2 picks in the first round, it's been a different position. He's never doubled down in the first round. He may have doubled down like later on in the draft to grab the same position, but never in the first round. And that's why you see this team, for the Detroit Lions, it is so good right now. It's because you've put a really good football player at just about every position on this squad. I mean, look at, let's just walk through it real quick. It's not really on my list, but we can just walk through it for a second so I can explain myself. And I'm going to emphasize this. Maybe I'll do a video on it later and kind of break it down a little bit further. But the reason why this is important to me, and the reason why I trust in what Brad Holmes is doing, is because it's easy to say, okay, we need better edge work. I'm going to go take 2 ends in this draft back to back. Any GM could go do that. You don't know if they're both going to work out. Maybe one of them works out. So then you probably wasted that second pick, on a position that you could have addressed with another player that could have worked out, right? But we scrapped everything. And after 2020, we had a team that had 85% of roster attrition in 2021. 85%. Entirely new team. The only thing that really carried over was the offensive line, Tracy Walker, and Jalen Reese-Maben. The long snapper, I can't remember his name now. And that was about it. That was really about it. But if you go back and look in the first round in 2021, it was Penei Sewell. And then in 2022, it was Aiden Hutchinson and Jamison Williams. So 2 offense, 1 defense. And then in 23, it was Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell. So you had 1, 2, 3, 3 offense. Wait, 1, 2. Yeah, 3 offense, 2 defense so far through three drafts. Then you go into 2024, and it was Terry and Arnold. So that makes it, 3 and 3? Pretty even, both sides of the ball. And then last year was Tyreek Williams, going back to the defense. So Brad has been very consistent on kind of offense, defense every other year. But he's also been putting really good football players around this team. And then when you look at the second round, in 2021, it was Levi Onwuzurike, who is not working out, but Ali McNeil did. He went back-to-back defensive tackles in round 2 and round 3 of that year. And then in round 2 of 2022, again, he went after another defensive tackle, defensive lineman. All right, we got somebody. Uh-oh, I must have missed the call. Call back. I guess it must have hung up. Just call right back. I won't miss it this time. So anyway, what I was saying is then when you look at the second round, it was, Josh Paschal, Levi Onwuzurike, Ali McNeil, and back-to-back seasons, he's addressing that defensive line. Well, 2 of those players haven't worked out so far. We haven't heard anything really of Josh Paschal as of late. Anyway, whoever just called in, try to call back. And then last year, in 2023, it was Sam Laporta and Brian Branch. I mean, you couldn't have had a better draft in 2023. You've got a starting tight end, one of the best in the league, and 1B as far as BB, man. He is one of the best. All right, here we go. All right, Wick, I got you, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Good morning, man. How excited are you for the game tonight?
I'm ready. I can't wait to see the rookies in action, and how well our defense fares against Bijan Robinson. Well, the Falcons, Bijan won't be in there, but
yeah, the backups. I got you.
So I have since we're talking about the games moving forward, what is your one key game that stands out to you that is going to be the biggest influence on how the season goes?
Ooh.
Because I got one.
You want mine first?
Yes.
Of course you do. All right. So if I'm going to say that there's a game that obviously hinges this season on success, I'm going to say it's early. And I mean, obviously we have to beat the Packers and the Bears. I don't have much confidence in the Bears, and I think the Packers are going to play us tough. But I think the Ravens game, I really think that Ravens game is the game to say, okay, are we ready for the season or are we not? It doesn't mean that we can't go out and win, a majority of games after that game, but I think that is the biggest test early to kind of see where this team is ready. Does that make sense?
That is mine. That is mine too, because I think that is the biggest challenge for our defense this season.
Yeah.
And if our defense can come out and stop the Ravens, which has been a thorn in our side,
yeah,
I think that's a really big improvement, however you want to look at it, but a big key factor in how we move forward in the season, in my opinion. If we win that game and our defense does really well, I think that gives our defense huge amounts of confidence moving forward.
I would say so too. I mean, so we're going up against a pretty stout run attack. I mean, with Lamar Jackson and Henry. We've done really well against. We've done really well against
the third stringer that played last night. That third stringer that played last night was not bad either.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Mitchell
for the Ravens.
Yes. Was it Mitchell? Marshall Mitchell played third. He's third string.
The quarterback. Is that you talking about? Or are you talking about the running back?
No, running back.
I got you.
He's good too. So they got 3 that are really, really good running backs. So
Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, Derrick Henry, all good. They should all make the team. Justice Hill's he's a special athlete too. But I mean, talking about going up against the run, I think that we've done a really good job. I mean, I know that we have. In the last 2 seasons, we've been at the top of all defenses for stopping the run. I don't think that changes against the Ravens. I think
the running quarterback is the key. Lamar is the key because he has been a serious thorn in our side.
Yeah, but if you look at the last couple of years, we've handled running quarterbacks.
We did, but not Lamar. He hurt us bad. The last
that was what 3 that was 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was not good.
So if you look at Lamar's game now, if you look at Lamar's game now, he's not running as much. I mean, he still runs the football, but he's not running as much first as where when he started, it was like, I'm going to run first, throw second. He's developing into a better passer, but his run option seems to be last because he has Derrick Henry now.
Well, yeah, and he's got three good backs back there.
Yeah, so I'm not as worried. So, but to your point, though, if they do emphasize the run game with Lamar that night, then that is a great test to see where we are at. I'm pretty happy with our defensive line, even though we've got some injuries. I'm pretty happy with it. I think that we're gonna shock some people. I think this year.
I agree. I think we're cool because we haven't seen the defense at all. I mean, in 3 years, really? We haven't really seen the entire defense on the field.
No, but 2023, I think we saw a lot. But last year, it was. I mean, starting week 3, we started to lose guys.
Right.
But I've been to a couple of practices this year. We're looking good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait, and it's I wish we could see more of the starters, but I understand. I mean, I would be skeptical as well, because of injuries. I mean, how can you not be after the past couple of years? So I get it, but man, I wish we could see some of the starters today.
Well, I think we will. I think we'll see a few. I just killed the ads, man. I forgot to click ads off, so I got the ads off. I wish there was a timer. I could just shut these things off. So I apologize. We almost hit the likes. We had like 130 people in, and I missed turning off the ads. I'll dial it back next time. So what's your biggest takeaway tonight, though? So outside of Hendon Hooker, which I think that we all know needs to have a good game, what is going to be your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest key of the night?
Well, for me, it's definitely defense, and I think it's defensive line specific on the edge and linebackers. I want to see what we have because of Anzalone. I don't know if he's here next year.
No, I don't think he is.
Situation's like if there's bitterness there or what, but so I'm intrigued to see what we have in the linebackers.
Again, I think that's going to be an area. I think that's going to be an area that's going to be a strong suit this year. I think that Grant Stewart just elevated this defense big time.
That room.
Yeah.
Yeah, elevated the room.
Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and talk at the same time. It's not working.
Right, no, and I got you. And then that Cooper guy, which I have not seen yet. I want to see where he's at too, and what he looks like. Where's he at?
What do you mean? Where's he at?
Cooper.
Play positional wise?
What position does he play? Yeah,
well, he's all over the defensive line, so they've had him everywhere. He's inside, outside. He's 280 pounds,
okay,
so he's more of a defensive end, right? And I think that's where the Lions are going to have him, more as a defensive end. But don't be shy. Like they're not going to be shy in putting him on the inside if they have some inside leverage on somebody, doing some stunts or we've seen in practice Davenport and Aiden both rolled to the inside, and both of our tackles rotated to the outside, which I love. And it's something that I was asking for again early in this off season when having conversations with everybody. It's like, man, we really need to see our guys get on the inside and take advantage of those guards.
So you're talking like versatility, just like running the 21. Like, so versatility on both sides of the ball, and to go to the 21 formation situation. What so if Gibbs starts lining up at wide receiver, right? What package is that?
If he starts lining up as a wide receiver?
Right, because he said he's going to take snaps at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So
It depends on where they
in the
start him.
backfield-
So if they put him out there as a wide receiver, I mean, it could be 11, it could be 12, it could be any of them.
Right, and then you can also motion into two in the backfield. If Montgomery's back there and he's lined up outside, I was just contemplating that. So what formation as a defense? If you see Gibbs lining up, are you assuming it's 21?
No. If I see Gibbs out there, I'm going into a nickel situation
Right away. So you're eliminating the run.
That's the hard thing about it. That's why you got to go to a big nickel. That way you can still get after the run with an emphasis on controlling the pass. But see, that's the thing. It's like I could say one thing and it doesn't matter because they could do the exact opposite. You know, if you start with
because you still got Williams and Amon-Ra.
Well, all they have to do is Goff just needs the audible, and then now Gibbs is coming back behind the line.
So in your opinion, you're assuming it's 21 then?
From a personnel grouping standpoint, no, because if you have one running back in, and if it's just Gibbs, are you saying that Montgomery's in the game too?
No. Montgomery's in the backfield with Gibbs lined up at receiver.
Well, so then it would be a 20-something. It just depends on how many tight ends and wide receivers you have in.
Right, but I mean, my
12,
point is
12.
Like, what do you?
Yeah, so if you've got two running backs and if you've got two tight
21.
ends, that's 22.
That's 22.
Yep. If you got two running backs and one tight end, it's 21.
Right.
So it just depends on who's in.
You're automatically putting that into a run package is my point, because anybody can line up at slot, right?
Yeah, I mean you can line up anywhere you want on the field.
But so if you any other person running a slot with Amon-Ra, Williams, like let's say Tesla out there, right? You automatically have that at 12, right?
You got to say that again.
Yeah. Okay. So when you have the three wide receivers,
Yep.
and then you would have it at a 12.
If you have three wide receivers in the game,
package with one run back, right, with Montgomery back there. But if you switch Tesla and you put Gibbs there, you're saying that changes the package, the way you approach it.
defensively, not offensively. So if you have three wide receivers, you're in 11.
Right.
Yeah. So if you have three wide receivers, it's the first number is a running back. The second number is your tight ends. The leftover is how many receivers you can have in. So if you have one running back and one tight end, that's 11. If you have one running back and two tight ends, it's 12.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then if you have one running back and four wide receivers, it's 10.
Right, because there's no tight end. Right.
Exactly.
So you're automatically. So that's what I'm saying. So you approach it differently just because it's Gibbs.
As a defense, you have to.
I'm saying from a defensive standpoint, when you're looking at it, you're approaching that differently just because it's Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, so Gibbs, like again, you could have him, in line. You could have him tight to the line. You could have him split out. You could have him in the slot. And then it's just a quick motion by Jared Goff, and next thing you know, Gibbs is right back behind the line again.
Right. That's
so
my point.
if I'm John Morton, look, you want to trap the other teams. You want to set these guys up. So maybe you start the game and you don't even have a running back behind the line of scrimmage, and you got Gibbs out wide, or maybe you have Montgomery back there and you got Gibbs out, in the slot, and you run a few plays like that. And so then when you get used to that, well, then it's okay. Well, now we're going to switch. Now we're going to throw Gibbs back behind the line, and we're going to kick Monty out. But we're going to start the same way we started. We're going to start with Gibbs out, Amon-Ra and Jameson and Laporta all out, and then you got Monty behind the line, and then we're just going to motion, and we're going to switch Monty to go out to the left side, and we're going to pull Gibbs from the right side behind, Jared Goff. Defenses, their brains are going to hurt.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So the package, what I'm saying, like how confusing it is, right, for us to look at that package situation I got to feel that that's got to be the same for the defensive coordinator. If he's looking at that and he's like, oh, man, and you run 3 successful plays with Gibbs out there at wide receiver, now you're kind of like, is it 11 or is it 21? Which one is it?
Yeah, that's the fun thing about this team is you can scheme, you can run so many different things from 11 and 12, and you can disguise it in so many different ways. And just like our Vandalay said, who's on first? Who's on second? Who's on first?
Yeah, right.
No, who's on first? Yeah, but who's on second? No, who's on first? Yeah, that shit's it's already, you're already hurting my brain this morning, Wick.
Right? Sorry.
So
yeah, I was just wondering about that. So so Ravens, man, I'm excited. I can't wait for this weekend, and I hope y'all have a great weekend.
You too, brother. Take care, man. Go Lions.
Hey, go Lions. God bless.
All right, Wickster. Wickster thinks the Ravens is the turning point of the season. What do you guys think the turning point of the season is? What week, what game, and why? What week, what game, and why? What game is the turning point of the season? Now, we could have multiple areas or multiple weeks where, you know, the game is kind of defining of the season. But I think in the beginning, this is just my take, and Wick also agreed with it. I think in the beginning of this season, week 3 is the most important game after we get through our divisional games. I mean, those first 3 weeks are extremely important. They're critical because you can't go down a game in the division. You definitely can't lose to the Bears. You don't want to lose to the Packers. It's tough, you know, going away, but the Bears aren't going to be able to hear themselves think inside Ford Field in week 2. And Ben Johnson knows what that noise is all about, and it's going to be a whole hell of a lot noisier than what he's ever heard. That's going to be one rowdy crowd. Matter of fact, I think the Lions should just go ahead and give free drinks to everybody throughout the whole game, and it'll get a lot louder. Or maybe everyone will fall asleep. I don't know. But week 3, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge to go up against, you know, one of the best running backs, one of the best receivers, and one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And you've got a relatively new offense, but at the same time, not really. You've got the same weapons, just a little bit of a different scheme that's going to be wrinkled in here. I think the offense will definitely be prepared. The defense, again, you would say it's relatively new, but is it? Because Calvin Shepard's been running the same thing. And if they're smart, if Calvin Shepard and Dan and I, if they're smart, they're going to say, look, we can't throw a ton at these guys right now. Let's just go play football. All right, let's play to our strengths. Let's go play football. If they overload these guys and try to give them way too much, their brain's going to hurt just like mine is right now after talking to Wickster about who's on first. And that's not what you want for your defense. You need your defense to be able to play free. And a matter of fact, Alex Anzalone said something the other day. It was the exact thing that I've said about him. When he first started with the Lions, and he didn't have a great first season. And so obviously a lot of fans, you know, were kind of poking at him because he didn't have a great first season. But I said the dude had to worry about everybody else. He had to worry about all of the other young guys and newbies, you know, playing in a new system and where they're getting lined up. And there was a lot of guys that weren't in the right position that, you know, they were playing rogue. They weren't playing within the scheme. And Alex just said this the other day, that going back to his first year, he couldn't play with his hair on fire. He couldn't play with his hair let down. You know, whatever he said. He had to worry about everybody around him. He hasn't had to play that way the last few seasons because the scheme was understood. The players that, you know, the Lions brought in were sticking around. The draft picks were working well. You've got a core defense now that knows what they're doing. So now into this season, it really shouldn't change. It should be mostly the same scheme with some new wrinkles. So I'm thinking this defense should be okay as long as you don't disrupt it so much that you've got everybody confused. But like Alex said, now you can add these new layers to the defense. You can do more than what you were doing 3 years ago because you have this core group that understands everything. So it should be a better defense just because of that. Just because you have a core group that knows what they're doing. And the guys around them, I mean, most of them have been around for a while. So, I mean, look at our defense. I mean, look at the guys that have been here. Branch, Kirby, Branch 3rd year, Kirby, it's like his 4th season. DJ Reed's new, but I mean, he's not new to football. Terrion Arnold's 2nd year. Amik Robertson's 2nd year. Who else? Obviously, Aiden, Aleem, DJ Reader's 2nd year. Jack Campbell's 3rd season. Derek Barnes' 4th season. Or 3rd or 4th. 4th. Alex Anzalone's 4th season. And like his 9th season in the league. So these guys they're cohesive, man. It's a unit that trusts each other. So I would expect the defense is going to play well. And especially when you get all these guys back and healthy. A few more things that I was going to touch on, and then we'll get out of here. Special teams, obviously Jake Bates has been playing well. You've got Jake Bates going up against Young Ho Whey. Jake Bates has been crushing kicks this year in practice. For the punters, obviously Jack Fox, best in the league. Not worried about those guys. In the return game, we've seen Amon-Ra St. Brown flirting with it in practice. I'm wondering at some point if he's going to go back there. I would think that that's a bad idea. But Jamal Agnew, we should see some action from Jamal Agnew on the other side of the football. Obviously, he was a former returner for the Lions and started as a DB in the NFL and kind of slowly migrated to the offensive side of the football. So he should be an interesting look to see him in a different jersey and how is he going to play in tonight's game. And then as far as the synthesis of, the coaching chess match, if you will, look, Dan Campbell's an aggressive coach, especially on 4th down. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit more measured here in the preseason. Raheem Morris has an emphasis on competitiveness. That guy wants to play. How he's going to play in a practice, in a game. And I think that's going to carry over into tonight's game. I think that he's going to try to throw everything at us. Momentum. Look, I think our defense is trending positively right now. Campbell has noted some small, changes in details. Kelvin Shepard has also said the same, that, there's some things that these guys are doing really well right now, but they all have a lot to learn. They have a long way to go. Big intensity in camp in Detroit. It's been a very aggressive camp, and these guys are just itching to swap some paint tonight, in a game that matters, to a degree, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It only matters from the perspective that you got some guys that are trying to earn a spot, and this is the test, man. How much of these installs have these guys, gravitated to and understood now they can go do it. It's time to go do it. And this is the first test that they need to pass tonight. Forget the Hall of Fame game. Tonight is when it starts. Penalties, look, tonight we need to see a disciplined team. Way too much stuff going on with the yellow flag. No more. Like, you guys have got to just hone it in tonight. Get set with your details. Know what your details are, right? And play aggressive, but play smart. Let's try to limit these penalties. Offsides penalty, or I'm sorry, not offsides. False starts. That is Hendon Hooker's number one priority tonight. Should be to make sure that he's getting this team lined up. Unlike Caleb Williams and the Bears, get this team lined up and make sure that everyone is set and ready to go. No false starts. Everyone needs to understand the snap count. I want to see a clean game out of Hendon Hooker tonight from that perspective. That everyone's set up, that we're not having to call a timeout because the offense isn't set. That, to me, would be an epic failure for Hendon Hooker tonight if we have to blow a timeout because he doesn't have the team set. That's all a big part of his learning curve, and we'll see how that goes for him tonight. Lastly, like I said, there's some more keys to the victory tonight, which, again, win or lose doesn't matter. Obviously, we love to win because nobody likes to lose. But let's clean out the false starts, sustain early drives, use our motion and our wide zone schemes to really test Atlanta's second level. And let's rotate some fresh guys in and get some high volume action out of these rookies and some of these younger guys or newer guys to kind of see where we are at defensively and offensively. 3 keys really for Atlanta would be obviously both teams evaluating your roster depth, but controlling the clock. It's something that Atlanta hasn't been able to do. And this is something that the Lions have been good at, both offensively and defensively, is getting offenses off the field. So tonight, I want to see that back for the Detroit Lions on both sides of the football. We need to get these guys off the field, and we need to stay on the field with an emphasis in the run game tonight. Get it working. Get our offensive line, working in a cohesive manner where we can run the football effectively. Todd Boudry says the Lions haven't lost a back-to-back game since starting 1-6. That's a great stat, but Todd, I love it. I'm not worried about that in preseason tonight. I'm really not. Not that you cared about my 2 cents, but I'm really not worried about winning tonight. I'm more worried about what is this offense going to look like, this offensive line, and how are these guys getting better from week to week? That's the only thing that I'm really worried about. Lastly, I want score predictions, though. Even though it doesn't matter, what is your score prediction for the night? If the Lions win, I think they're going to put up 24 points tonight. And I think the Falcons will probably put up 17. I think the Lions could win by a touchdown. It could be a little bit closer. It might be 20-24. And that's my call. I'm going to go 20 for the Falcons, 24 for the Lions. If we don't win, we don't win. It is what it is. I think the Lions are a much better team than the Falcons. But I got to tell you, man, I think these Falcons are an up-and-coming team. They could shock the league this year. If James Pierce and Jelon Walker do their thing, which, man, they've been getting in fights all week. Brawls in practice. If they do their thing tonight, man, they could create some havoc, and I think that they could probably storm their way back in the NFC South. Does Hendon Hooker throw a touchdown tonight? Or is most of this work going to be ground game? All right, I promised to do a giveaway yesterday morning. I forgot. And then I promised to do it last night. But I was exhausted, and I didn't get on last night. We did hit a new mark. So I do want to hand out training camp jacket. Do we have any newbies in the house? New subscribers? If you have if you are a new subscriber, put your hand up. You have to have notifications turned on, otherwise the bot won't even recognize you. So if you're a new subscriber and you'd like to win an extra large training camp jacket, whether it fits you, a brother, a father, a mother, a cousin, an uncle, whatever, it's extra large. That's what we're giving away. And we want to give one away right now. So I'm going to give you until this song runs out to get your hand up. And then we're going to give it away. And if I don't see any newbies in there with their hands up, well, then anyone's going to get it. Here we go. All right. Dale says Hooker will throw a touchdown to the Falcons, more than likely. What's the angry face for? Mazatalan Tom, 27-17 Lions. Tom, I'll get that email out to you today. David McMiller says, I don't know about turning point, but I think the two major measuring sticks will be Philly and Baltimore. It's a good point. Maybe turning point's the wrong term. I think measuring stick's a better term. I like that. My measuring stick too is the Ravens game. I think that's a good first game for us to really see where we're at. All right, last chance. I need hands up. Hands up if you want to win a training camp jacket. It's going to be real easy for this bot to pick two people or between two people. Brandy coffee's not new. You're not new, but hi, how you doing? Yeah, nice try. The bot knows you're not new. It's geared to the last 30 days. Too funny. Robbie once you didn't join in the last 30 days. That's hilarious. All right, bot, go to work. Oh, the other day it took forever. We'll see. It's only two people with their hand up, so we'll see what happens. All right, while that's doing its thing, Corey Murphy just joined the game. While that's doing its thing, let me answer another couple of questions here from the mailbag, which I'll try to get that video out today, and I'll just highlight a lot of the questions that came in. Specific defensive packages. What specific defensive packages is Calvin Shepard implementing, and how are players responding to the aggressive man-heavy coverage style? I can't answer that because I have no idea what Calvin Shepard is implementing. I just know that there's going to be some extra wrinkles in this defense. The next question is, are the Lions still using a run-first offensive identity, or has the pass rate increased or will the pass rate increase under Morton's leadership? That's a good question. Again, it's going to be hard to answer that because we haven't played enough games with Morton, but I will say this. Morton says that he wants to emphasize explosives, and we've had explosive runs and explosive pass plays, and I still think that we are a run-first offense. I really do. I think that we are more of a balanced attack, but I would say we lean towards the run game to open up the pass game. That's what play action is all about. And then the next question was kind of coincided with the previous one. How are the Lions balancing their two-back system under Morton's offense? Again, without having a sample in front of me, right, in a regular season game or 2 or 3 or 5, it's hard to answer. But if last year is any sort of a guide, it's darn near 50-50. But I think it's going to be 60-40 this year. I think it's going to be more heavy to Gibbs' side. I think that needle's going towards Gibbs, if you will. Ooh, this is a good one. And then I'll check the bot here in just a second. Is the defense's attacking front, led by DJ Reader and Tyreek Williams early in the season, sustainable against top-tier offensive lines? Or is it just dominating reshuffled offensive is it just dominating a reshuffled Lions offensive line in training camp? That's a good question. If I said it right, I think I understand the question is the Lions have been dominating in training camp, as we've heard, right? Aiden Hutchinson particularly, but the defensive line has been kind of beating up the Lions offense. So the question really is, are we that good, or are we just that good against our offensive line that has been shuffled around and missing a couple of good guys too, right? I would love to say that that's enough, but I think we need to add a few more people to that mix. You said Reeder and Tyreek Williams. We need to add Davenport and Hutchinson to the mix too. And I would say, yes, it's definitely sustainable, and it's definitely enough to pick off some of these top tier offensive lines. We've been doing it, and we've been doing it with less talent, right? We didn't have Davenport or Aiden last year for the majority of the season. And Tyreek Williams has already shown that he's the guy. So I think we're going to be just fine. All great questions. All really great questions. I'll get into it. All right, let's see what the bot did. I still haven't figured out how to show it on the screen. Goose. Who's Goose? Goose, you won a training camp jacket. Where's Goose? Didn't Goose just get a membership too? If you are a new member, make sure you check out the members area in the posts so you can join the Voxer chat. And if you keep your membership, even the lowest tier, you can stay in the Voxer chat throughout the season. I got to tell you, man, it's awesome. There's so much good positivity in this Voxer chat. Not only talking football, but you're meeting some good people, digitally, I guess. But you're meeting some really good people and forming some really good relationships. Like just the other day, the mod crew all went to training camp together. And I had an opportunity to join them and meet some people that I haven't met before. And then some of them I have. But just a really good group of people, man. Really good community, fun community. Just good, wholesome, good stuff, man. So Goose, you just got to send me an email. It is mailbag@rockdown.com. Mailbag@rockdown.com. And you just send me your address and we'll get your training camp jacket out here in the next day or so. Did I miss? Maybe next time, is it Yapepo? Maybe next time, man. Just keep on trying. Ragnow's retirement has already shown problems. Yeah, I'd say in the beginning it did. I think the defensive line's winning, man. I think that we just have a really good defensive line. The last thing I'll finish on is, when you have changes, obviously change is inevitable, but when you have change, it takes a little bit of time for everybody to kind of get back to where they were. And you have to kind of learn, about the guys around you. You have to learn their tendencies. And it's like having a dance partner, honestly. You have to learn how they move. I really don't know how to describe it, but it's being able to look at somebody in the eyes and you know exactly what they're thinking. Dan Campbell just kind of said that not too long ago, that when he had Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn on the field, just a look down the sideline, which we've seen Dan do often, just a look, and those guys look back and they know exactly what he wants and exactly what he's thinking, right? That kind of relationship on your offensive line is what Jared Goff and Frank Ragnow had, and it's also what Frank Ragnow had with the rest of the offensive line. But these are pros, man, and a pro's pro knows how to get ready for the season, and they know how to communicate. They work with stuff, behind the scenes. I'm sure they're communicating, after practice, before practice, text chains, phone calls, hanging out on the weekends, whatever they're doing. They're learning each other. And that's the biggest hurdle, I think, for an offensive line, is developing that cohesion so that you know what that player is going to do and what to expect from that player in a situation. When that line breaks down or the defense shows you something and you're maybe not quite ready for it, how are you going to react? Well, you have to know that guy next to you knows what to do. So they'll get there. But I think you're right. Frank Ragnow's retirement, it obviously caused some pretty big issues. But these guys are going to have it put together. I have no doubt in that. They're going to have it put together. So that's it. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I know it was kind of a sermon today, not a whole lot of interaction. This was a puke message today of a breakdown. But I had to get it all out of my system and see where I was going to go with it. This year, we're going to change a little bit of how the breakdowns go. But next time, you're going to get a 15 to 20 minute video, and then we're going to talk about it the next day and kind of extrapolate it out a little bit. But that's it, man. Congratulations to Goose. Thank you for being not only a new member, but also being a new subscriber. Please subscribe to the channel if you would like your opportunity to win signed mini helmets like this one by Derek Barnes, or Salute to Service helmets by Panay Sewell or Chris Spielman. We've got all sorts of stuff to give away, or jerseys. We got all sorts of cool stuff to give away every year. We're going to give away 2 tickets to the Alliance football game this year once we hit 10,000. Share with a friend, man. The biggest thing I could ask of you guys is to share this with a Lions fan. It's not the easiest channel to find because of the name. It's still Rocked On Podcast Network, because I'm an idiot. When I started doing this, I didn't know anything. But yeah, share it with a fan, man, and get them involved in the channel. It's a good channel to be a part of, and we'll have a lot of fun this season. Starts tonight. We'll be back here probably 6 o'clock, 6:30, getting rolling for the game tonight. So y'all have a wonderful day. Probably go Detroit Lions. Goose, send me that email. Mailbag@rockdown.com. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. We'll see you tonight.